So this is a really interesting little story about jealousy, envy, double standards, probably about sexism as well. It's really about a lot of different things, and it relates to the soon-to-be First Lady of the United States. As many of you know, Joe Biden's wife is Jill Biden. Jill Biden is the incoming First Lady of the United States. Jill Biden has a doctorate in education, and she's often referred to as Dr. Jill Biden. Now, she doesn't introduce herself that way. She doesn't say, hi, Mr. Eggman in Iowa voter. Yes, hi, I'm Dr. Jill Biden. No, but she's referred to as Dr. Jill Biden by many. Now, it's true that she's not a medical doctor. That is not a secret. You've not uncovered some deception. And the fact that she is being referred to as Dr. Jill Biden, partially without being a medical doctor, is triggering Trumpists in absolutely hilarious fashion. And there are regularly questions about why is she being called Dr. Jill Biden? And recently, a guy named Joseph Epstein actually wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal. Imagine actually saying, here's something I want to weigh in on, saying Dr. Jill Biden sounds fraudulent. Really, only medical doctors should be calling themselves doctors. Now, the calling themselves thing is interesting because, again, other people are referring to, the media might say, or please welcome President-elect Joe Biden and Dr. Jill Biden or whatever. She's not insisting, excuse me, that's Dr. Jill Biden to you. But this is actually a really old trope and discussion. This is not new to Jill Biden. And the goal of the writer is made even more clear by his suggestion that instead of doctor, she be called Madam First Lady or Mrs. Biden or Jill or Kiddo, which of course is increasingly patronizing as you go through the list of names that Joseph Epstein says should be applied to Jill Biden. Now, one of the reactions to this is merely sexism. Okay, the claim being, if Jill Biden were a man, if it was Dr. Jeremy Biden, nobody would be triggered about the use of the term doctor, even if it was a doctorate of education rather than a medical doctor. I do believe there is a degree of that for sure. There's no doubt that this partially is a story because it's Jill Biden and not Jeremy Biden or a man. But there's actually more to this because there are some who are saying the issue is the term doctor isn't relevant to the job she will be doing as First Lady. And that's why she shouldn't be referred to as Dr. Jill Biden. Well, maybe, but if the issue is the term doctor and its relevance, why do we constantly refer to Dr. Ben Carson when we talk about Secretary of Housing and Urban Development? And what I mean by that is Dr. Ben Carson is a medical doctor, but he's Secretary of HUD, a position for which, first of all, a position for which he's totally unqualified, but there's glee over referring to Dr. Ben Carson because Trump has a doctor working for him, but being a surgeon is completely irrelevant to housing policy. So it's very transparent to say it's a question of relevance. I would argue having a First Lady with this high a degree of education is more relevant than a surgeon running housing policy. That's just me, though. That's if they want to play the relevance game, which to me does expose that at least part of this is the gender aspect. And of course, we also have so many examples from history of non-medical doctors. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., was that relevant? I think so, yeah. It was, I don't remember if it was a doctorate in comparative religion or theology of some kind, and he was a reverend. So yeah, it certainly sounds relevant, and it was not a medical doctor. And then, to really play this game, what about Bill Cosby? Bill Cosby also had a doctorate in education, which he actually received at my alma mater, the University of Massachusetts Amherst. And when some were trying to defend him from the numerous sexual assault claims, you would constantly hear, Dr. Cosby would never do this. How is a doctorate in education relevant to sex assault? So I think you see the point. And for me, it's less about figuring out, is it merely sexism? For me, it's bigger than that. And there's a paradigm shift coming in the White House in terms of president and vice president and identity. And there's a group in this country that hates all of it. They don't like that the vice president is a black Asian woman. They don't like that the second gentleman is going to be a Jewish man. They don't like that there's a number of Jewish folks on Biden's cabinet. And they don't like that the first lady has a doctorate and sometimes is referred to, that is referred to in how she is addressed. And part of this is insecurity about themselves and education and knowledge. Imagine feeling so threatened, so insecure about the first lady having a doctorate that you go through the trouble of writing an op-ed suggesting she not use it in her name. And that's really what this is about. Now let's circle back. I will never deny that people who insist on being called doctor in non-academic settings is often a huge sign of pretension, whether you're a medical doctor or not. I have stories of a guy I knew with a doctorate in sociology who used it to sort of try to flex at everything from restaurant reservations. Yes, it's under Dr. Kesterbaum, yeah, to like getting priority treatment on flights. And don't you have my reservation? I'm Dr. Eggman or whatever. That's pretty cringy. That's not what's going on here. I've never even heard Jill Biden correct anyone and say, that's Dr. Jill Biden, please. So this is an absolute and total joke.